Okay, all righty, we're here. Hi, everybody. If you don't know who I am, they call me Uncle Bruce. Welcome to my channel called Stock Markets with Bruce. Thank you for subscribing and thumbs ups and following me. If you haven't followed me, welcome to the party, pal. Look, what am I talking about today? We're going to talk about a little company known as GameStop. We're going to talk about what happened this week with our friends at GameStop. Um, what's going on with the number one man at GameStop, Mr. Ryan Cohen, and also we're going to talk about the Roaring Kitty episode. I got a few things to go over. I also, though, really want you to understand. I want to talk to you about some stuff that you are not hearing about very much on any media you're following. If you're really into GameStop, you're a shareholder, you're an option player, you're a flipper, you're in and out of this thing, you're a long-term holder of this stock. I want to talk to you about some things that you may not be completely aware of. Okay, so let's start from there. First thing I want to let you know, people ask me all the time on my Stock Markets with Bruce channel when I'm on the air every day at 8:30 to 10:30 Eastern Time, Monday to Friday. Some say to me, "How many shareholders are there in GameStop? How many are there?" The last reported number is 194,270. Almost 200,000 shareholders exist holding and owning some form and shares of GameStop. Could be one share, could be a million, could be more. 194,270. I'm going to bet you that 190,000 of those and more are retail investors. Probably you folks who are watching me right now. If you don't own 100,000 GameStop shares, you're not on the map, on the big boards as far as anyone going to pay attention to you. You're so small. You're so insignificant. You own 300, 400 shares. You're just an anonymous person owning a couple of stocks. But there are 194,270 shareholders. So there's a band of brothers out there, brothers and sisters. Okay. Did you know that this being the 8th of June, 2024, did you know that on the 13th of June, in 5 days, GameStop has its annual meeting coming up on Thursday next week? And that is significant. Keep that one in your brain. Next Thursday is the annual meeting. Did you know that RC Ventures, which is the corporation that this guy owns, or Ryan Cohen, that is his holding company. RC Ventures is the largest shareholder of GameStop. And things have been happening here with regards to how many shares RC Ventures has with respect to the percentage of the company. At one time, RC Ventures owned as much as 14% of GameStop. But about 3 weeks ago, the company sold 45 million shares into the market at around 21 some odd dollars a share. When they did this release right here, they talked about May 17th, they filed a prospectus to sell a maximum number of 45 million shares of stock from time to time to raise about $933 million. When they did that, they went from 306 million shares outstanding to 351 million shares outstanding. Ryan Cohen's percentage of ownership has shrunk. He now owns, as of the filing after the completion of this financing, 10.5% of the corporation. He didn't buy any of the $21 stock or whatever that we are aware of. There's no filings that he increased his holdings of shares to hold on to his percentage ownership in GameStop. So the 45 million shares that were issued went out into the wide world out there. And Jeffries and Company, their broker, raised for the company almost $930 million. The company now has about $2 billion cash in the bank. You guys do know that. However, yesterday the company really pulled something that I think at the beginning when I heard this, I thought, are you out of your freaking mind, you guys? Your timing couldn't be worse. They announced an early release of their finances. Instead of releasing their financials on Tuesday of next week, they bumped it up to yesterday morning. And then they announced that they were going to issue 75 million shares additionally out of the treasury for additional cash. I thought the timing was awful on that. Why? Because for what, a week now, we have been told about this guy, Roaring Kitty, a deep, you know what value. He was going to go live on YouTube and tell the world how much he loves the company and how he's doing and what's happening. And we were going to hopefully get some kind of an update on this position of stock and options he was sitting on. If you look at the top line there, it'll say a GME symbol. Go across there a little bit. 5 million shares is what he owns. Just below that, 120,000, that's contracts. Those are option contracts, call options to allow him to buy 12 million more shares at $20 a share if he so chose to do so. We have been waiting for Rory Kitty to talk to us and give us information about what are your plans and your intentions. Are you going to exercise your 120,000 call options, or are you just doing that investment as a flip where you got in at $5 something, and if the shares go to 25, 35, 45, 55, you'll make a killing on those contracts to sell them at a profit and just add to your $30 million cash balance? He's allowed to do whatever he wants. He's a private individual. The company, why would the company, Gamestop, make a press release that here's our financials 4 days early, and we're going to liquidate another 75 million shares? They, in effect, created their own market. Now, talking about the market, let's quickly go back in time just to give you a quick snapshot. Here is a snapshot of a 3-month chart of this stock. Okay, I'll go down here so that I'm out of the way. You can see here that the shares, it says here 27.16. That was last night's aftermarket close. That is Friday evening, June the 7th, I guess. Look at just over here. It says 28.22. That was the actual last trade on the market Friday night. But this chart is a 3-month chart of GameStop. And you can see on March 24, the shares were down in this 12, 14, 15 level by about the end of April, about 40% across the chart there. We were at the $10 level. And people were talking about, oh my gosh, there's 70 million or 65 million shares shorted. Stock's at $10 a share. That's only $40 a share if you take the 4-for-1 split out of the way and look back in 2021. It wasn't looking good. And then look what happened in May. Obviously, May the 2nd, the stock began to move into the teens and then through to the 20 level just in the end of May. And of course, we had the first shot. And after the first shot, the company announced we're going to raise $900 million, apparently, by selling 45 million shares. They cratered the market and it dropped off, and then it recovered again to just the other day. We hit 67.50 in the after hours Thursday night, and the company announces Friday we're going to raise more money by selling stock at 75 million shares. This right here is your 1 month chart, so you can see the first spike there as just before they raised the first 933 million, and now the second spike and drop off. They've just announced a secondary financing. Here is a chart, a little more advanced, for the week, this last week, and you can see just above my finger here, that's Monday, June the 3rd. All the way over here is Friday, June the 7th. And look at the wonderful week we were having. As we backed off a little on Monday, Tuesday we flatlined, Wednesday we started to climb, Thursday had a wonderful day, Thursday night 67.50 in the after hours, because we were only less than 24 hours away from Keith Gill going live, our Roaring Kitty buddy. And then the company announces this earnings release and financing objectives, and the stock got hit. And of course, shorters jumped on board to drive the stock down as hard as they could, and Roaring Kitty did not inspire a whole bunch of buying in the stock. As a matter of fact, as he spoke, the shares continued to slump. It's not his fault. It's the way it is. The market read a lot into his perceived performance and what he could do and what's going to happen. Here is the Friday chart just yesterday morning, and you can see the stock was in that 30-40 range all the way up until about halfway point. Those black bars on the bottom are volumes, and then at the end of the day, we flatlined around $28 a share, and here we are. A couple of things I want to talk to you about now. What again? Wall Street won't tell you this, or Wall Street has not been talking about this at all, and that is the annual meeting is coming up on Thursday for GameStop. This there's going to be anticipation. The problem with these meetings that GameStop has is that they're done on a virtual reality basis, so you're not going to no people will see people in person. I don't even know if there'll be a camera on any of the executives. I have no idea what that's going to be like. How in the world can people ask impromptu questions? Will any be answered? The resolutions are mundane. They're just the regular, be all and end all. There's really nothing to get excited about. But I wonder about something under the surface that's going on. Let me show you something, just this little chart real quick. Let me pop this up for you, okay? This is from the corporation itself. This is from GameStop. It's deep in their proxy statement. This shows shareholders of the company, anyone who owns more than 5% of the stock. And you can see here, RC Ventures LLC. That's Ryan Cohen. That's his own company. His own shares at the time of the printing of this document, it's 36,847,842 shares were held by RC Ventures for a 12% interest in the company. That has now dropped to 10.5%. And that does not include the 75 million they're about to sell. Vanguard Group, they owned 8.3%, 25.4 million, and then below that, BlackRock, 22.5 million, 7.4%. The directors and officers, if you go a little lower, directors and officers, executive officers of the company, Ryan Cohen, of course, there is his 36,847,000. And look at the other senior people and directors. Nobody owns a million shares of this company. We're talking 21,000, 64,000. We have Alan Natal, who's been a long time player here, 562,000 shares. Look at Larry Chang, Jim Grube, Matt Furlow. These are some of these folks are not even here anymore. They collectively don't even own a million additional shares of the company. They own 800,000, and these are the folks running this outfit. So this company is really not represented by management as shareholders at all. It's Ryan Cohen only, and then outside investors. I wanted to bring this to your attention for a reason. The fact that Ryan Cohen is now down to 10.5% ownership before they sell these 75 million shares for extra cash, this is going to dilute the company from 351 million shares to 426 million shares, 75 million more shares. And I did a rough calculation with my calculator that tells me that after the 75 million shares are issued and sold and bought and paid for, if Ryan Cohen doesn't buy any of those shares, he will be down to 8.6% ownership of the company. He won't even be a 10%er anymore. And I have been saying on my live broadcasts from time to time that I have a suspicion there may well be a takeover attempt to oust him as CEO. Now, why would you do that, Bruce? Why would you talk like that? Ryan Cohen's a great guy. He doesn't pay himself any money. He doesn't get any. He's a CEO and the chairman of the board. He doesn't pay himself. He doesn't have a stock option program. He doesn't have any kind of perks or anything like that. Why would you talk about that kind of thing? I'll tell you this. If you ever watch the movie A Few Good Men, where Tom Cruise interviews Colonel Nathan Jessup on the stand, he asks him questions, and this Private Santiago was not to be touched, and yet you're going to get him off the base. Why would you do that? He wouldn't. You said he wasn't going to be touched. Why would he be in danger? I look at this scenario and I go, if Ryan Cohen is a shareholder of the company and doesn't take any pay, and he doesn't take any perks, why would he kind of sabotage the stock with its run by issuing stock and crashing the market? Well, the first go around for 45 million shares, I can forgive him for that. I can say, hey, it's okay. You saw the stock run into the 40s. It even hit $80 on an aftermarket trade, which was ridiculous. But when the Roaring Kitty thing exploded in the media, because that's all the media wants to talk to you about, is the sensationalism of Roaring Kitty. the stock ran up, and the company thought, well, why don't we take advantage of this run up and raise some cash? Now, maybe in Ryan Cohen's mind and the board of directors, they were thinking, well, if we can get 35 or 45 a share, that's pretty good. Why don't we take that? And so they came out with their intention to issue 45 million shares. They raised 933 million, but only at $21 a share, not at 31 or 41. But I'll give them a pass for that, because the stock was $10 a month or so before, dead in the water. Now it's been revitalized. You now have $2 billion cash in the bank. Okay, company's cash rich, no debt. You're going to be around a long time. Fine. But now, on the very day that Roaring Kitty is going to go live, and we're already being told, and we're giving indications here, there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people watching the video with Roaring Kitty. Why would you announce a 75 million offering the very morning of this guy's presentation that afternoon? Why would you sabotage the stock with that? Because that's what you've done. When a public company announces that they're issuing a bunch of stock into the market and the market has no idea it's coming, it's not perceived as good news as far as the stock price is concerned. The stock the night before was 67.50. It could have opened on Friday morning in the 50s, 55, 60 range, and been in the 50, 60 range right up until Roaring Kitty spoke. And it could have ended up in the 45, 55, 65 neighborhood after he was done speaking. And the company, pardon me, could have made a press release Monday morning, Tuesday morning, to raise 75 million shares out of the treasury, raise additional cash, and try to get 40 or 50 bucks, which would have generated $3 to $4 million of additional cash into the treasury. But they did it before the opening. They crapped the market from 55, 60 a share in the pre-market down to $38 in 1 second, and the market never recovered. It had a chance. It went into the 40s for a while. Roaring Kitty came on. It was 32. It went to 38, and then crapped back down again. Game over. Did the company, I want to know, did GameStop company actually raise money by selling 75 million shares? Did they do that yesterday at $40 a share already? Did they already have expressions of interest from investment entities that already own the stock? There are several hundred institutions that do own this stock. Were calls made by Jefferies at 40 bucks a share when the stock was 45 to 50 on the pre-market? Did they get a commitment for $3 billion in cash at 40 a share? We don't know. Would it be a lovely surprise to find out on Monday that the company will announce, hey, we closed our $75 million offering. We got an average of $40 a share for the stock. The street will go, what? That's awesome. We closed at $28 Friday night, $27 on the after hours, and you were able to pull off the $40 deal? That would be great. I don't know if that happened. I don't know if a single share has been sold yet. I don't know if they're allowed to even sell stock yet. I don't know if they need an approval from the SEC or how this works. Is it just a notification to the SEC and do what you want and then file the final numbers later? I'm not the lawyer for this. Let's get back though to Ryan Cohen. Ryan Cohen has 36,800,000 shares. He didn't buy any of the 45 million that were issued. Is he, or did he, would he, has he bought any of the 75 million that were just issued to maintain his ownership level, to maintain at 10%, 10.5% ownership? If not, and the 75 million were just distributed out to wherever, to whomever, he's down to 8.6%. And I'm asking this question. Is there someone else out there who's been amassing stock of the company other than Roaring Kitty? Because it's not Roaring Kitty I'm thinking about. Has there been someone out there buying up call options on the options market and buying up all kinds of derivatives options on the derivatives market, the one that is not regulated, the one that we can't monitor and see, the market that we're rumored that there are 1 to 1.5 billion shares shorted on? That's the rumors on the derivative market. Can't confirm it myself. Has a group or an individual already amassed 50 million, 80 million shares 100 million shares of the company through derivatives that hasn't filed yet. And that doesn't have to file because they're not in the United States. I don't know. And is Ryan Cohen becoming aware of it? And the way to defend the buyer from the outside, whoever these people are, if they're already at whatever tens of millions of shares, you dilute them by issuing stock from your treasury so that they keep having to buy more and more and more to get anywhere. Perhaps giving shorters a chance to buy back or run it up. Again, I can't tell you this. I don't know what's in his mind. Smart guy, lots on his plate. He could be looking at me going, no, Bruce, that's not it. But I can't tell you because I'm not allowed to talk to you. I get it. But here we are with now 425 million shares will be outstanding. The good news could be that GameStop might have $5 billion cash in its bank account by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Officially announced, we got $5 billion in the bank at 5% interest. That is $250 million a year in interest, which is $5 million a week in interest. Every 3 months when GameStop starts reporting results going forward, $65 million in interest will have come in if they don't do anything with the money. The first $65 million of income is interest income. Any other income from the stores, as they've reduced the underperforming stores, have laid off all kinds of people they don't need anymore. They've reduced the head office staff. They're increasing their margins. If they're going to pull out $200 million a year in profit from the stores once they've cleaned them up, and you're going to add that to the $250 million in profit you make from interest, the company earns $450 million a year. There are 450 million shares out. No, 425 million shares out. The company is going to make $1.05 a share profit going forward. That is a done deal. That is going to happen if they don't do anything with the $5 billion. On the other hand, if there's an outside group out there looking at Cohen going, you know, the guy only owns 36 million shares. If we buy 60 million shares, we can vote him out of there. And we can put in who we want as chairman of the board. We can put in who we want for the other directors. We can put in who we want to be CEO. We can do what we want with the company. And if we turn around and sell the brick and mortar company, GameStop, to an investment group, a private investment group, we take a couple of billion for that because now it's been cleaned up and it makes money. We have a company with $5 billion plus $2 billion. We have a company with $7 billion in its bank account. We have 60 some odd million shares. We own 15% of the company or more, and Ryan Cohen is out of there, and we control that money. And we'll put that $6 billion where we really want it to go, into deals that we want to back and go into. I don't know what will happen with the shares for the shareholders, but there will be a fight for control. Of course, the shorters out there who are 70 plus million, and I don't know if there's 80 million short now. I don't know if there's 90 million short, because with 45 million more shares in the system for the last 2 weeks, I suspect more volume has traded hands, more stocks traded hands, and there might have been a 15 million increase in the number of shorts because there's a 45 million increase in the number of shares that can trade. Now we're adding 75 million more. Does that mean we add another 25 million shorts on top of the shorts? Are we at 120 million short in the next week and a half, 2 weeks? Is that going to be part of the new norm? How high can these shares go if we have that kind of a short position? That's what I'm thinking about on a Saturday morning, June the, what is the date? June the 8th, 2024. Here in Calgary, Alberta, as my viewers of my channel have been making a killing this week writing stock options. My viewers don't necessarily buy shares of GameStop. They don't have to buy GameStop shares to make money on GameStop shares. They can just write options, cash secured puts, credit spreads. They can do poor man covered call trading if they want. Buy a long-term call way down here, pay a $10 call and write calls against it. Poor man covered call trading. They've taken my classes on my website. They've stepped up and said, you know what, Bruce, I'm going to learn how to do option writing. I'm going to go to your website. I'm going to check out your classes, and I'm going to become an option writer and not worry about the fluctuating values of the stock. I have viewers in the last few weeks now. There's my homepage, by the way. There's my link to my classes, and here's some of them right there. I have viewers who in the last few weeks have sold all of their shares of GameStop. They've sold them in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s, back to the 30s, high 20s, and they're taking these lessons at the same time, and they're figuring out how to write options on GameStop without owning GameStop shares. Why should you hold GameStop shares and suffer the highs and lows and the stress of what the stock is going to do when you literally can just sell the stock into the market, sit on the cash, use the cash as collateral to write options that are very conservative in nature, where all the risk is transferred to the gamblers who buy these options? Have you seen the premiums on GameStop options? They're insane. And so why not? I have examples where people have written $50 put contracts. We call them cash secured puts, where my viewer is saying, I'll buy the stock at $50 a share between now and January of 2025. I'm willing to pay $50, except that you got to give me $30 up front, $28 up front, and they're getting it. You can write a put contract where you are guaranteeing to buy stock for $50 a share, and you can get $2,800 up front in cash to do it. You're actually only paying $22 a share for the stock. Stock's still at $28 a share here at the end of the day, Friday. If the owner of a put contract were to deliver to you 100 shares at 50, you have to take it, you're happy. Why are you happy? You just got 100 shares that you paid $22 for. They're trading at 28. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to sell the shares at 28, turn around and write another brand new $50 put contract for January 2025 at 28 again, and say, exercise me all day long. I want to be bought out. I dare you to do it. Every time you exercise me, I am making $6 a share on the exercise of a contract that I'm willing to sit on until January. If the shares do go up to $40 a share again, that contract has a value of $10 a share. I sold it at 28. If it's trading at 15 and I buy it at 28, I make $13 profit per share without owning a single share of GameStop. Shares go to $60 a share, and I wrote these at 28. Those contracts are worthless. I'll buy them for $5, $8 time value. That's all I have to do. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to write $80 cash secured puts or $90 cash secured puts and haul in a ton of money to write those. This channel's viewers are making money on GameStop without even owning the stock. You figure it out for yourself. Go to my website, check it out. Hopefully it'll work for you. Watch me live Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock for my Gold Bagel members until 8:30. That's a perk for you guys. We share trading tips there, and then at 8:30 we open the show for anyone to come in, and you're invited, and hang out and listen and watch what my viewers have to say about how they're doing on their options, and we'll follow GameStop and SOFI and all of our other favorites, and we'll get right back at it at Monday. But there's stuff going on behind the scenes that you need to be made aware of. So the annual meeting next Thursday, let's see what happens. Ryan Cohen is getting diluted himself. What is going to happen with the $75 million offering, and what's Roaring Kitty up to? Well, join me on Monday. We'll figure it out. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a long one. I'll talk to you next time.